Tonight, a tragic fall from a Sandy Hill apartment building.
I don't know how someone could fall out. Like the window only cracks open a little bit.
A young boy is dead. Investigators say he was found outside the building last night and are thanking first responders and hospital staff for their valiant attempts to save him. The son of a Barrhaven murder victim.
Vibrant, loving. She didn't care if you had anything or everything.
Shares his story after his brother was charged in their mom's death. And the deficit down just slightly from projected. The numbers may suggest the government is on track.
Any kind of a savings that they get out of their revenues and the spending cuts over the next 5 years, they have decided to spend them.
But what does it mean for Canadians and this city? We break down the spring economic update. Good evening. We begin tonight with the investigation into a tragic fall in the Sandy Hill neighborhood. A young boy is dead after falling from an apartment building window last night. Emergency responders were called to the high-rise on Laurier Avenue East near Nicholas Street around 6:45 p.m. CTV's Dylan Dyson was on the scene today and joins us in studio with the latest now. Dylan.
Patricia, a very sad and tragic outcome here as paramedics say the boy, younger than 8 years old, fell from a significant height and died earlier today.
It's so sad.
Police tape marks the location where a child landed after falling out of an apartment window.
I saw a bunch of emergency vehicles pull up, police cars, fire trucks, paramedics, and I saw the fire truck go like in the back with the ladder, and they were all rushing to where the garage area was.
Paramedics say they were called to this apartment building at 50 Laurier Avenue East Monday evening where a boy younger than 8 years old was found with serious injuries.
It was a significant height given his condition. The paramedic tried to stabilize his condition on scene and during transport to the hospital where he was in life-threatening condition. And unfortunately, this morning, Ottawa police confirmed that he passed away.
Police have not revealed the height from which the child fell.
It's not something that you want to happen in your community. This is our village. We care for one another, we take care of one another, and this to happen to our child, it's horrible.
Residents of the apartment building say on Tuesday they received notice that property management company Homestead would be visiting each apartment to inspect and secure the windows. CTV News contacted Homestead for comment, but did not receive a response.
It doesn't open more than this, and it's usually locked in like that, but people do manage to unlock it.
I don't know how someone could fall out because I don't know how the other rooms are set up. I only know my apartment. Like the window only cracks open a little bit, and there's how can you say it, like mesh separating it. So I'm surprised that someone actually did fall out.
Police say at this time they don't anticipate making any arrests.
Our investigators have not indicated that there's anything suspicious, but that being said, the matter still is under investigation.
Now, police are asking parents of small children that live in high-rises and apartment buildings to ensure that their windows and doors are secured. It was just yesterday that a 6-year-old girl in Toronto also died after falling from an apartment building. Patricia.
CTV's Dylan Dyson live for us tonight. Thanks. We do have extended coverage of the investigation into the boy's death. There are more details online at ctvnewsottawa.ca. Breaking news out of Kingston tonight. A search for suspects is underway this hour after at least 2 pedestrians were reportedly shot by an airsoft gun. CTV's Katie Griffin joins us live from the area where that first shooting took place at Russell and Patrick Streets in Kingston. Katie?
So, Patricia, we've actually just moved to the second location, but one of the areas where those projectiles were fired from that moving vehicle, it is quite a residential area, just like the other one. And there's also a seniors residence here. Now, this all started around 12:30 this afternoon when Kingston police got reports of someone being shot in the face with a projectile fired from an airsoft rifle from the back of a moving vehicle in the area of Russell and Patrick Streets. Now, they were taken to hospital, and about 5 5 minutes later on Palace Road near Park Street, someone else was hit several times. We don't have an update on their conditions tonight, but police have released pictures of the suspect vehicle in both incidents. This is what they're looking for, a dark-colored Ford F-150. They say 4 people were inside that vehicle at the time. They don't have descriptions for them, but they are looking for that pickup truck. Here's more from police.
Anyone who's seen an airsoft lately knows that these guns now are manufactured to look identical to firearms. So if you brandish this to a member of the public, and that includes police officers, we don't know if it's a real firearm or not, and it's always treated as a real firearm first until we can determine that it's not.
And police say they believe that these incidents are linked based on what happened and the proximity of these locations. They're really not that far apart, and they're currently looking through surveillance video, trying to track the movements of this vehicle and also the occupants of that vehicle. And so they're asking anyone that hasn't already contacted police to contact them or provide any surveillance video that they might have. But important to note from police tonight here in Kingston that if you think you have seen the suspect vehicle, don't approach it. Call 911. Patricia?
All right, CTV's Katie Griffin live from Kingston for us tonight. Thank you. Well, a grieving son is opening up about his mother tonight after she was stabbed to death in her Barrhaven home last week. Her other son has been charged with second-degree murder. Arya Farahani says he wants his mom to be remembered as a loving person with so much light to share. CTV's Leah Larocque joins us in studio with more on this. Leah.
Patricia, it's a story no one wants to live through, let alone share with everyone. But Arya Farahani is recounting the moment when he learned his mother was killed and his grandmother was rushed to hospital in a stabbing where the suspect is his younger brother.
Farnaz Farahani was known to many as Nancy, but to her oldest son, Arya, she was simply Mom.
The moment you met her, you knew her. It's just unapologetically loud and vibrant and loving, and she didn't care if you had anything or everything. It was just, she was yours to love.
Arya Farahani is now trying to reconcile with the unbearable reality of his mother's life taken so suddenly.
Because how can you be okay? Like, my mom just got taken away from me.
Police were called to a house on Ashbourne Crescent just before 10 p.m. last Thursday. Inside, they found Nancy Farahani stabbed to death. Arya's grandmother, Nezhat Lashgari, was also stabbed and seriously injured. Arya heard the news first from a friend.
And the worst part is I didn't even need to talk to them to know who did it. There's only one person in this planet that could have done it.
The following day, police charged Party Shah, Arya's 30-year-old brother, with second-degree murder and attempted murder. The allegations have not been proven in court.
She wasn't a victim. This is a woman that loved. This is a woman that always would forgive. Even if she could forgive him right now, she would. If she could still tell him he's welcome in her heart, in her house, she would. I wouldn't. She would.
Arya says his brother suffered from mental illness and they hadn't spoken in years, and that put a strain on his relationship with his mom.
My mom was always wanting us to reconcile, was always wanting us to be friends, brothers.
Arya says he has barely been able to sleep or eat. He's also taking calls from those who loved his mother and are wishing his grandmother a recovery. She remains in hospital. But there is one conversation Arya wants, but knows it just can't happen.
I miss you. I wish I could hear you one more time. Give me a hug. I'm sorry that I haven't said I love you enough, but I get to go on the news and say I love you. That sounds pretty cool to me. I'm sure she can hear me from wherever she is. I love you, Mom.
Again, the criminal charges against Shah have not been proven in court. Arya says he will be following the case at the same time as he tends to his grandmother and plans a celebration of life for his mother. Patricia.
All right, CTV's Leah Larocque live for us tonight. Thank you, Leah. And we know this story and others in this newscast tonight can be unsettling. If you find yourself in a mental health crisis, the Distress Centre of Ottawa and region is available around the clock. You can call 613-238 3311. The National Suicide Crisis Helpline is 988. Still ahead, serving up a hot lunch and making use of an empty cafeteria to look out for students all over Kingston. That story coming up. An open-air fire ban is in effect for Ottawa after multiple grass fires in recent days. Two broke out over the weekend in the rural West End, one off Dwyer Hill Road that burned more than an acre of land, and another west of Richmond. It hasn't rained in Ottawa in 10 days, creating dry conditions in the region. The fire ban applies to agriculture burns, brush pile burns, and campfires. But there is a significant amount of rain in the forecast for tomorrow. Ottawa is now under a rainfall warning. Positive news for preventing those grass fires, but not something homeowners in flood zones want to hear. Officials are warning of a possible second flood peak, with water levels expected to rise in some areas in the coming days. As we take a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam, 16 degrees out there right now. I know windy as well. One of the reasons firefighters were telling me that ban was in place today, and then the rain is coming, Jackie, as we get a first full look at our forecast here.
Well, that's right, Patricia. We saw a little bit of activity in this early part of our afternoon, but less than 5 millimeters moved through eastern Ontario. It is tomorrow, though, that we are anticipating heavy rainfall. So when exactly is this expected? Not tomorrow morning. We are anticipating mainly cloudy skies. It's likely going to be in the early afternoon. You can already see parts of the yellow moving through Smiths Falls and Brockville. This is the first round that we're anticipated to see. It's later on in the early evening into the overnight that we're going to see a lot of it focused around the Seaway, Cornwall, even Hawkesbury, and parts of Ottawa, where we could see between 30 to 50 millimeters of rainfall moving through. It has prompted a rainfall warning in effect for late Wednesday evening into the early hours of a Thursday morning. We are keeping a very close eye on this. Meantime, temperatures across for tomorrow, it's still going to be double digits, but on the cooler side, 12 degrees to start things off, only getting to a daytime high of 16 degrees before it cools down to 11. Now, right now, across eastern Ontario, you could already start to see the temperatures cooling. 16 for most of the region, but it's already about 12 degrees around the valley, including Petawawa and Pembroke. Patricia.
Well, to the Ottawa courthouse now, where the driver accused in the hit-and-run death of a crossing guard pleaded guilty to one of the charges he's facing. In court today, Xander Wright admitted to leaving the scene of the fatal collision, but pleaded not guilty to dangerous operation causing death. 55-year-old Peter Clark was struck and killed by a vehicle as he was helping kids get to school on March 23rd. Wright's lawyer says it will now be up to the courts to decide whether Wright's driving was dangerous under the law.
There's no question as to who did this. There's no question about the very tragic result, the death of Mr. Clark. There's no question that it was caused by Mr. Wright. The question will be was this particular pattern of driving enough in law to be considered dangerous?
A trial date has not yet been set. Wright is back in court on May 8th. Well, turning now to Parliament Hill, where Mark Carney's new majority government is providing a fresh look at the country's finances in the spring economic update. CTV's Mike LeCouture has more on the updated federal deficit and the Liberals' plan to spend billions on new measures.
It's more than just an economic update, proposing $37.5 billion in new measures over 5 years. A part of that includes a new skills training program. The government hopes to recruit, train, and hire between 80 and 100,000 skilled tradespeople by 2031. The cost of the program is $5.9 billion.
This means real pathways into skilled trades with paid training and on experience. It means more opportunities for employers to hire and train young workers.
While the deficit was $11 billion lower this year compared to last fall's projection, the long-term outlook is largely unchanged, with no path to balance for the next 5 years. And the deficit will remain over $50 billion into the 2030-31 fiscal year.
Today's Liberal fiscal updates brings more costs, more debt, and more bills on the national credit card. This Prime Minister is just another Liberal.
Royalties from high oil prices are contributing to government revenues, but Canada is facing fiscal headwinds from the ongoing trade war with its largest trading partner.
Together, we can chart a path forward to the fog of uncertainty, because Canada has what the world wants and increasingly needs. We have the right plan, we're building big, We're moving fast.
In addition to yesterday's announcement of the Canada Sovereign Fund, there is other new spending. $755 million over 5 years to support Canada's sports system, including Olympic athletes, and $4.3 billion for Indigenous communities. There is one pocketbook measure Canadians could feel. The government is reducing the contribution rate for the Canada Pension Plan. Someone earning $70,000 per year will get to keep $133 more of their take-home pay annually. But there are few other new measures to help Canadians on a daily basis.
I think what it demonstrates is the high fiscal cost to the government of trying to introduce new pocketbook saving measures for Canadians. It is very expensive.
Pressed on that, the finance minister pointed to measures like bolstering the grocery and essentials benefit, as well as suspending the excise tax on gasoline until Labor Day, as ways the government is helping Canadians deal with the affordability crisis. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, here in the National Capital Region, many are keeping a close eye on the economic update and what it could mean for the federal public service. CTV's Austin Lee was out there on the Hill for us as well this morning and has a closer look. Austin?
Yeah, Patricia, there's no update when it comes to workforce adjustments to the public sector. The government says updates on that front are expected in the next budget, and that will be released in the fall. But there were some announcements from today that are specific to our region.
Canadians are facing economic headwinds. A trade war with the United States and the conflict in the Middle East are dominating headlines, but financial crime is a persistent problem for everyday Canadians and businesses.
And there is a lot of worry on the part of business owners that there isn't really a good agency or mechanism for those kinds of crimes to be investigated.
Now the federal government is hoping to address the problem by setting up a new financial crimes agency.
Police generally don't have a good pathway for that to be investigated and resolved. And so if Ottawa is now building a new infrastructure to try to focus on that, I think given its growth in society, this would be good news.
The plan was announced in Budget 2025, and a bill to create the agency was tabled Monday. New in the spring economic update, a plan to see the agency headquartered here in the nation's capital, with authority to establish other regional offices. The agency will receive more than $350 million over 5 years, starting in the next fiscal year, but there's still no indication how many jobs it could create.
In terms of expansions to the public service, this is pretty noteworthy in the context of a lot of other departments actually shrinking right now.
As for public sector job cuts, nothing new in this economic update. The government reiterating its intention to rein in spending on consulting services.
Very little new information, unfortunately, since we got the initial bad news in the fall budget. We're looking at numbers for public service employment in the Ottawa region, down about 50,000 jobs in the past year. That's not exclusively federal, but still a serious dent in public service employment in the region.
Also announced Tuesday, an extension of funding for the Ottawa Police Service to the tune of $3 million per year for the next 5 years, a funding extension Ottawa Police had previously asked for.
And also reiterated in today's economic update, the government's plan to lean on artificial intelligence to, quote, transform public service delivery. Patricia.
All right, CTV's Austin Lee live for us tonight. Thank you. You can scan the QR code on the bottom of your screen to link to us online or visit ctvnewsottawa.ca. We have more details on what is included in the government's spring economic update. He was a dedicated police officer and member of the OPP's elite Golden Helmets motorcycle team. Sergeant Brandon Malcolm died yesterday in a single-vehicle crash on Highway 401. CTV's Sean Leathong has more on how he is being remembered.
The loss of OPP Sergeant Brendan Malcolm is being felt here at the Northumberland Detachment in Cobourg, a place he called home for nearly 6 years. Seeing cards and flowers today.
Because I just felt like bad of what happened last night, and I just felt like I wanted to drop some flowers off.
It's heartbreaking, it's sad.
I think it's an opportunity to say the sorts of things that we probably should say on a daily basis, how much we appreciate the police and their dedication to keeping us safe.
Ian McFarland dropped off a card this afternoon to express gratitude along with sorrow.
Bottom line is he's a member of the police community, of our community, and we've lost a good man.
5:30 yesterday afternoon, OPP received a call for a single-vehicle crash along the 401 just west of Cobourg. Sergeant Malcolm was pronounced dead on scene. As a procession of officers lined up last night to show their respect,
OPP Commissioner Thomas Carrick spoke of the loss.
His career goal was to become a police officer. He had been an auxiliary member with Toronto Police, a member of the Canadian Armed Forces, and in 2020 he joined the Ontario Provincial Police.
Brandon was with the OPP for just under 6 years. He was a recruit previous to coming to Northumberland Detachment. He was a member of the Golden Helmets Precision Riding Team.
The Golden Helmets are a skilled OPP motorcycle team.
They're the highest trained and most capable motorcycle riders we have in policing.
According to the OPP, the single vehicle crash remains under investigation, while there was also a secondary crash involving police nearby with no serious injuries. No cause has been given for either. Today, the president of the Ontario Provincial Police Association says mental health supports are being offered to colleagues, while members of the community say they are feeling this grief.
Hits close to home like that, it affects everybody, right?
It's rare. In fact, it's not occurred in the 13 years that I've been living here.
It's so sad to hear that there's no evidence of another vehicle. It's very bewildering.
The Provincial Police Association says they're connecting with Sergeant Malcolm's family in the Maritimes.
Shatlin Thong, CTV News.
Ontario Provincial Police have issued arrest warrants for 2 people in connection with a homicide in Perth. 34-year-old Christo Allison Richards was found critically injured in Lastool Park on April 12th. He later died in hospital. Police are now looking for 34-year-old Joseph Medor and 28-year-old Brayton Kennedy. Both are from Ottawa and wanted on charges of second-degree murder. Ontario's education minister says the province is considering banning cell phones from schools and restricting social media use for kids.
Right now, we're reflecting on a wider ban on cell phones. I think the evidence is becoming more and more clear that cell phone use in our schools, elementary and our secondary schools, anywhere on site, has become a problem. So we are considering an outright ban of cell phones on school properties.
Right now, cell phone use is restricted in both elementary and high schools in Ontario. Callander also says the province will work with the federal government on banning social media for children under a certain age. Manitoba recently announced a plan to do exactly that. Well, across the country, people are coming together to mark the National Day of Mourning for workers killed or injured on the job.
We gather to impress upon government, our lawmakers, our policymakers, the importance of initiatives and legislation to protect those who often cannot protect themselves.
A ceremony was held at Ottawa's Vincent Massey Park today. Among those who spoke, Jennifer Chenier, whose son Nick died after he was electrocuted while trimming a hedge in Manotick nearly 3 years ago.
In an instant, my son's life was taken, and in that same instant, our family's life was changed forever. No parent should ever have to bury their child, especially not because they went to work.
Several unions are also calling for more recognition of psychological health and safety as a fundamental workplace issue. LOC Transpo is recognizing bus drivers who go above and beyond when it comes to safety.
Thank you, everybody. Congratulations.
In an annual ceremony today, employees were presented with awards for reaching significant accident-free milestones and for their exceptional responses to safety and security issues.
So in KFLNA, 1 in 4 families experiences food insecurity.
Well, just ahead, a unique way to tackle food insecurity in Kingston. An organization gets an unused school cafeteria back up and running. Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Patricia. We're anticipating mainly cloudy skies for our overnight. Temperatures still remaining mild, around 11 degrees, with southwesterly winds moving in as well. We're only getting to a daytime high of 14 for tomorrow, and we are anticipating the heavy rainfall moving in late for our Tuesday evening. Again, it has prompted a rainfall warning for parts of eastern Ontario, including parts of Quebec, where we could see between 30 to 50 millimeters of rainfall. Now, here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam, where right now it's 16 degrees, mainly cloudy skies here for downtown Ottawa.
Taking a look at the roads this evening, a little grayer than it was yesterday at this time, but for the most part, traffic is moving well. Slowdowns in the usual spots out there this evening. Well, as more families face food insecurity, a group in Kingston is looking to give as many kids as they can access to hot, nutritious meals, and they're doing it all out of a school cafeteria that had sat dormant for years. CTV's Kimberly Johnson has more.
It's been years, but this school's kitchen is bustling once again.
Today is the mac and cheese that has the addition of some squash in it, which has become a favorite.
Chef Suzanne Nemenis is packing up hundreds of meals for a hot school lunch program, using a school cafeteria kitchen at Regiopolis Notre Dame Catholic High School in Kingston that has sat here unused since the pandemic.
Something very different than this physical space is actually used to as well, so it's been fun.
The program is part of the Food Sharing Project, which has been providing kids in Kingston with nutritious food for decades, and recently expanded to providing hot lunches. Organizers turned to Kingston school boards after a number of kitchens inside schools shut during the pandemic and never reopened because they weren't financially viable to run.
So there was no use being made of all of these very amazing commercial kitchens.
Moore says the school and Catholic board donated the space, as well as the deep cleaning it needed. The Food Sharing Project also upgraded the equipment.
We have been hearing so much about how hungry kids are at school, about how school coordinators are having to increase their orders every week because the kids are eating everything that they put out, and that kids are looking for something more hearty.
Now, more than 1,500 meals are prepared here each week for high school and elementary students. And officials say with 1 in 4 families facing food insecurity in this region, more students are signing up all the time.
There's more community being built in the cafeteria as well amongst students. Giving kids the opportunity to explore nutritious things, try new things, take risks. It's really important to ensure that students are fed so they're successful.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
After days of sunshine, the rainy weather is returning. Gray skies over downtown Ottawa and the Rideau Canal. Part of today, some people taking advantage of the warmer weather to get out on the NCC pathways before the rain begins in earnest. We did have a few showers this afternoon, but this rain is going to be significant that is coming our way in the next, 24, 48 hours?
Yes, and I know a lot of people have been asking, when is it going to arrive? Well, you may be able to squeeze in a run early tomorrow morning because the rain is anticipated to come later for our for the end of the evening. So here's a closer look at what we can see temperature-wise right now. 15 degrees, 18 was our daytime high. The sunset expected around 8 o'clock this evening. Now, temperature-wise, tonight's lows, it is significantly starting to cool. 11 degrees. Still double digits for Cornwall, Brockville, and Ottawa, but you could already see in Pembroke, Bancroft, as well as Kingston, we're down to single digits between 5, 6, even 7 degrees. So the cooler weather and the cooler temperatures are coming in as well. Tomorrow's daytime highs, not much in terms of high double-digit temperatures. We're seeing 12 degrees in Pembroke, 11 in Bancroft, 14 in Brockville, about 17 in Mont-Tremblant. Still kind of warm. For Montreal, about 19 degrees. And if you are trying to squeeze in a run before that rainfall at 7 a.m., this is what it's looking like. You may see a little bit of sunshine in Pembroke, Renfrew area, Ottawa. Mainly cloudy skies, very cloudy around the Kingston at Brockville area. It won't be until 3 p.m. that we are likely going to see that first round really pick up. You see the yellow, you see the orange. There is a risk of severe thunderstorm around Brockville, Smiths Falls area moving in. And then the second round, it's likely going to happen around 5 and 6 o'clock. That's when we're going to see significant rainfall really moving through, a lot of it focused along the seaway. So Pembroke will be anticipating rainfall, but much of the rain is going to be moving along Smiths Falls, Brockville, and Cornwall. Again, we're anticipating 30 to 50 millimeters of rain moving from Wednesday night into Thursday when all is said and done. Now, right now, for temperatures across the country, 8 degrees in Charlottetown and Halifax, mainly sunny skies, so they're getting a lot of that summer-like warm weather that we saw earlier this week. 15 in Toronto, Windsor, 17 degrees, and it's still that cool air really moving in from the prairies. It's already 5 degrees in Saskatoon, 7 in Regina, and 4 degrees in Winnipeg. Now, the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Davidson Hearing Aid Centers, celebrating over 80 years in family business. Temperatures really starting to cool down. 16 degrees for our Wednesday. 15 to 20 millimeters of rain for here in Ottawa, but again, parts of eastern Ontario could see much more, up to 50 millimeters of rain. Thursday, it'll be in the early hours of the morning that we are likely going to see a chance of showers rolling through, but by the time Thursday evening rolls around, mainly cloudy skies, 10 degrees, the anticipated daytime high.
And those frosty early mornings into the weekend. Yeah. If I had a lot of plants out, I'd be pulling them back in, but I'm okay. All right, thank you, Jackie.
You're welcome.
Well, just ahead, we speak with CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapelos, about today's fiscal update and what it means for Mark Carney's government. Our popular Team of the Week segment is back. If you want to be a part of our Myers Automotive Group Team of the Week, upload your video to ctvnewsottawa.ca. Well, returning now to our coverage of the federal government's spring economic update, the Liberals planning to spend billions on new measures, including a new skills training program. And while the deficit for the last fiscal year was lower than projected, the long-term outlook remains largely unchanged. Joining us now to break all this down is CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapelos. And Vashi, let's start there. The Prime Minister was hinting yesterday this would be a good news economic update, and certainly that deficit significantly lower from last year. But when you look at those projections, it's not going to budge much in the years to come. The opposition predictably will argue they could have done more and gone deeper.
Yeah, very much so. I think exactly as you laid out, right? The story out of today's numbers is that they have an increase in revenues thanks to better than projected growth relative to what they were saying in November. And as a result, they have a smaller deficit. Again, for this year, the projections for this year, they are also projecting additional revenue thanks to increased growth relative to November in years that follow. But they're not taking that revenue and applying it to reduce the deficit. They're using it for additional program spending. And even that spending doesn't take into account all the additional, purchases like submarines, for example, or getting to 3.5% of GDP on defense spending by 2035. So the numbers could change even further going out. I think that it is notable that they didn't take that money and use it to reduce the deficit in years past this one. But certainly this year, they do want the story to be one of reducing the size of the deficit by more than $11 billion.
And for the average Canadian looking at this, there was a poll this week saying a lot of people are fairly satisfied with a lot of what the Liberal government is doing. One of the areas where they are not is where it comes to affordability, that they don't think there have been enough concessions in that area for the average Canadian. What will they take away from this? Were there some nuggets in there for them?
It's a great question, and particularly given the context that you explained. That polling comes from Angus Reid, and it basically shows the same portion, around 2/3 of Canadians, who think the Prime Minister is doing a good job with our stature, our world standing, that he's doing a good job with Trump and a good job diversifying trade. The same portion of Canadians, about 70%, feel that the real vulnerability exists and that he's not doing enough when it comes to the issue of affordability. There are really no new big answers in this document to questions about what more can the government do, or is the government prepared to do to improve the cost of living for Canadians who are watching this right now. There is simply the attachment of numbers to promises that we have already heard them made, in particular lifting the federal portion of the excise tax on gas from now until, or a few weeks ago, until Labor Day. And then additionally, the GST rebate getting a boost as of June 5th. They're calling that a grocery rebate, but it's just a boost to a rebate that is already in existence. A significant boost, pardon me, but it is just a boost to a program that already exists. And then they kept a lot of the stuff that Justin Trudeau, the former Prime Minister, put in place, like daycare and some parts of pharmacare and dental care. So they're keeping all of that, and they're saying, that's the suite of measures that we've got in place to address affordability. Now it's going to take some time for those to work, but there's no and also this and this and this in this document today.
All right, Vashi, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Vashi Kapelos is the host of CTV's Power Play, which you can watch weeknights at 5 p.m., and the host of CTV's Question Period Sundays at 11 a.m. She also hosts the Vashi Kapelos Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network weekdays from 12 until 2. Well, now some other stories you need to know right now as the PWHL gets set to begin playoff season. The league continues to draw more fans. More than 1.1 million fans attended the 120 PWHL games this year. That's an average of 9,300 per game, up nearly 30% compared to last season, including the playoffs. It's also up 71% compared to the league's inaugural season. The Charge played in front of its largest home crowd ever earlier this month at the Canadian Tire Centre. That is also where they will be playing their home playoff games. The Charge will face the Fleet in Game 1 of the series tomorrow in Boston.
This is the best of international sport. This is sport at the highest level, and this is what we want to see.
The world's top women's rugby teams return to Ottawa this fall for a rematch of the World Cup. On October 23rd, TD Place will host Canada's women's rugby team versus top-ranked England in the second stop of the rugby rematch tour. Canada's stature in women's rugby is growing. The team is ranked 3rd in the world. Kawartha Dairy is coming to Orleans. The ice cream shop is set to open a location on St. Joseph Boulevard near Orleans Boulevard this summer. This will be the company's second location in Ottawa. A drive-through location opened last summer near the Carlingwood Mall. Kawartha Dairy has not announced a specific opening date. Well, the city is looking to come up with a skate park strategy for Ottawa. The plan would come up with a system for where and how to build new skate parks. Right now, Ottawa has 24 parks. The budget includes enough funding for 6 new projects. City staff are now looking at the proposal.
We had the kids apply for every scholarship that we could find.
Well, just ahead, a new survey shows a growing number of Canadian parents say they will not be able to afford to put their kids through college or university.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
Planning for your child's future has never been more complicated. In the past, it meant setting money aside for an RESP and watching it grow. But a new survey shows many new parents are not in a position to do that. Here's CTV's Heather Wright.
Isabel. With 3 kids in university at the same time, Brad Nussbaum knows just how expensive post-secondary tuition can be.
It was sort of like childcare, right? Having 3 kids in childcare at the same time, it's expensive. School's expensive.
Brad and his wife made a deal with their kids. They'd pay for tuition, the kids pay for living expenses. Registered education savings plans help cover most, and they got creative to take care of the rest.
There's a lot of scholarships that don't go claim. So we had the kids apply for every scholarship that we could find.
But as post-secondary tuition rises, more families say they might not be able to fully pay for their child's post-secondary education. According to a survey from Embark and Angus Reid, just 33% of parents say they can cover their kids' tuition. 27% say they won't be able to, while 26% expect it will be financially difficult.
Despite the large number of new parents today are financially planning and budgeting for the future of their children, there's not a lot of confidence that they can afford it.
In its early parent readiness report, Embark, an education savings and planning company, says there is significant concern among new and expectant parents when it comes to the cost of raising children. More than half say they are only somewhat financially prepared, while more than 1 in 3 say they've received financial help from family members. The advice from both financial planners and parents like Brad is to plan early to have as much time to save as possible.
We did a lot of things for our kids to get them to where they are.
With tuition, rent, and other living expenses, post-secondary education in Canada can exceed $30,000 a year, a number that keeps rising. Heather Wright, CTV News, Burlington, Ontario.
Well, there are many questions tonight about the new Sovereign Wealth Fund, but still few answers. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more.
If you were looking for some clarity today on the Sovereign Wealth Fund, you didn't get much in the update. The Canada Strong Fund is meant to support major infrastructure projects in the country. Ottawa is pledging $25 billion to the fund, and the federal government says Canadians will be able to put their own money in, but how isn't yet clear. The finance minister says it will be like buying a bond where the initial capital is protected. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 73.06. West Texas Intermediate is up over $3 to 99.93. Western Canadian Select is up $1.65 to 75.31. And the TSX lost 233 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
The volatility, unfortunately, and the sustained high prices, I think those are going to last for a while.
Well, coming up, the United Arab Emirates leaving OPEC. More on what that could mean for gas prices. Well, it's a major blow to OPEC. The United Arab Emirates, the 3rd largest producer, is leaving the oil cartel. The organization has seen its influence wane recently, but the move brings up questions about what this will mean for gas prices. CTV's Quebec Bureau Chief Genevieve Beauchemin reports.
Another plot twist in the story of gas prices' wild ride with a shakeup at OPEC. As of May 1st, the United Arab Emirates will be out of the oil exporting group, and the impact of the UAE's exit, say analysts, is still to be determined.
UAE wants to increase its output, but that's going to take time. Of course, getting into market is still a real challenge with that blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So the volatility, unfortunately, and the sustained high prices, I think those are going to last for a while.
Well, it's going to be $200. I'm used to it at this point.
And Fizhank says he hasn't noticed the tax holiday Ottawa brought in to cushion the blow of rising costs.
Is there? There's supposed to be a tax holiday?
The excise tax holiday came into effect more than a week ago. The government estimated it would save Canadians about 10 cents a litre at the pump. But with negotiations over the Strait of Hormuz deadlocked, the price of oil worldwide has steadily risen in the past week. And so here's a look at how the tax holiday may be cushioning the blow. On April 14th, when Ottawa announced the cut, the national average was around 176 cents a litre. On April 19th, the day before the move came into effect, the price 174. April 21st, 164 cents a litre, the lowest price this month. Today, it's back up to $1.75 a litre, around 9 cents lower than the highest price this year. Now, all this as south of the border, Americans are paying the highest price at the pump in 4 years. That was in April 2022, shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine. Some drivers putting in a lot of kilometers say 10 cents a litre is small comfort.
But 10 cents is not...
But to others, anything helps as costs add up. There's still plenty of time for the price of gas to go up and down before the tax holiday ends. That's slated for September. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
William Stanback, the former Alouettes, they are working side by side as Adams looks corner. Regino, jump ball in the end zone, touchdown Red Blacks.
Well, coming up, the Red Blacks are on the clock with the first overall pick in the CFL draft just minutes away, and 2 Ottawa players could be drafted tonight. Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Patricia. Substantial rain moving through eastern Ontario for our Wednesday evening. Daytime high is expected at 16 degrees. Meanwhile, Thursday, 10 degrees. Temperatures are starting to get cooler. There's a slight chance we could see some showers for Thursday and Friday. And again, we're back down to single digits by the time we get to the weekend. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam, where it is 15 degrees right now. A little bit of sunshine peeking through after a mainly cloudy night.
The National Capital Region is jam-packed with incredible experiences you don't want to miss. Hey, I'm Tanea Taylor, your iHeartRadio Weekender, powered by Barrhaven Ford. Get the inside scoop on all the biggest and best events every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on CTV, Move 100, Pure Country 94, TSN 1200, and News Talk 580 CFRA. iHeartRadio Weekenders is powered by Barrhaven Ford, Ottawa's newest and largest Ford dealership, and Ontario's #1 Ford EV dealer.
Tomorrow on Your Morning Ottawa, we introduce you to the Ottawa-born football player who is joining the Los Angeles Chargers in the NFL. Tune in on CTV or stream us live on Crave.
Hairstyles, courtesy of Salon Fiorella.
Here's what's on CTV tonight. E-Talk, The Big Bang Theory, Will Trent, RJ Decker, and High Potential. One final look at this forecast, taking a turn into tomorrow, Jackie.
That's right. We saw a little bit of the light drizzle moving through late this evening. However, mainly cloudy skies for tomorrow. It's not until about 3 p.m. tomorrow that we're going to start to see significant rainfall move through, especially around Smiths Falls, Brockville, and Cornwall. You can see that yellow and orange moving through. It's really going to pick up throughout the evening between the hours of 6 and midnight. Likely will clear early Thursday morning when all is said and done. 30 to 50 millimeters of rain expected to move through. But tomorrow morning, waking up, overcast, cloudy skies, not a rain in sight, 12 degrees to kick things off. It won't warm up that significantly, 16 degrees, the anticipated daytime high. Then things are going to cool down to about 10 degrees for not just Thursday, but really into Sunday. And I know you see 30% chance of showers for those next consecutive days. We will see mainly cloudy skies with sprinkles of light drizzle moving in. So not the greatest in terms of sunshine, but after Wednesday's significant rainfall, we should be much in better shape.
All right. A few days to get through before things hopefully turn back around again. We had a beautiful week last week, so we'll hold on to that. Finally for us tonight, time to start thinking about football season. The CFL draft takes place this evening, and the Ottawa Red Blacks have the first overall pick.
William Stanback, the former Alouettes, there working side by side as Adams looks corner right. Gino, jump ball in the end zone, touchdown Red Blacks.
The Red Blacks draft first. They have a few holes that they could fill, so some interesting options for them. But Ottawa prospects are also expected to have a big night tonight. There's at least 2 Ottawa players who are expected to be drafted by someone out there this evening. Shakespeare Louis and Ebenezer Debula will be listening for their names, and what great names they have as well. Coverage of the draft begins at 7 p.m. on TSN tonight. CFL making some news with some changes announced, not for this year, but for next year. They're going to be starting earlier. Victoria Day weekend, we'll be talking CFL football.
And I'm going to try to think of that phrase. So we always like to say, is it June yet to kick off CFL
is it May yet?
Summer?
Yeah, absolutely. Still June this year. And a different playoff format, too, which is all interesting. So enjoy watching that on TSN tonight.